Hi you guys, I'm Keri, and My Table of Three is my YouTube channel where I discuss Trim Healthy Mama recipes, menu planning, frugal shopping, and also homeschool. And today in this video, I am joining with Ingrid over at Mommy and Me Homeschool Chronicles, as well as some other fantastic homeschool YouTube vloggers. I will put the link to Ingrid's channel below, as well as the playlist, so you can watch all the other fantastic videos on our 5 do's and don'ts of homeschooling. I'm going to talk about some of the free resources that you can use for younger children, and before I get into that, just let me know that I want to let you know that I'll put all those links below in the description, so be sure and check those out. Now, let's head in the kitchen, grab a cup of coffee, and let's talk about all my do's and don'ts of homeschooling. Jumping right into my 5 don'ts of homeschooling. Number 1, don't go into homeschool thinking you're going to have all Little House on the Prairie days, okay? You know, the little schoolhouse where they're all in a room, the teacher's so happy, and all the kids are so happy, and everybody's writing on their little chart. It ain't happening. Now, don't let me scare you, because there are many, many, many awesome days that I will never trade for anything, and I'm looking forward to many more awesome days. But when I first started, I had fooled myself, I think. And to believe in every day would be perfect, that Nate would learn everything the first time we went over it, and it's just not the case. It's one of those pressures that you, as a mom and a homeschooling mom, that you put on, especially a new homeschooling mom, you put on yourself and you put on your child. So yeah, don't go into homeschool misled thinking that every day is going to be perfect. You guys are going to have, like I said, those Little House on the Prairie moments, because you will have some of those days, but definitely not every day. Not every day. Anyway, number 2, don't spend, if you have young children, preschool, first grade, even maybe second grade, don't spend thousands and hundreds of dollars on expensive curriculum. Focus on their fine motor skills, like holding their pencils, learning their alphabets, their phonics, maybe some sight words. If your child works well with sight words and phonics, you know, you could do both. Number recognition, holding their pen, writing their name. Just a lot of hands-on basic learning and phonics, and even maybe some light basic math when you get into kindergarten and things like that. Don't make the mistake of ordering thousands of expensive curriculums for preschool and kindergarten. There are so many resources out there. If you have a Dollar Tree in your town, they have all kinds of great workbooks, from ABCs to 1, 2, 3s, phonics, first words from preschool. Actually, I've seen workbooks there all the way up to 5th and 6th grade. And so we even use some of those on our summer curriculum, since we homeschool every year for my now 3rd grader, so to supplement during the summer. So don't think you have to start off, you know, spending a lot of money. You can start your children off in preschool and elementary, lower elementary, kindergarten with free resources. EasyPeasy.com, wonderful. We use that for Nate in preschool and kindergarten. It's totally free. It's so easy to use. Now, you will have to print out worksheets and things like that, so you will have that expense. So check that out before you go buy a lot of things if you're new, or if you have really young children just starting out, because honestly, I started out buying a lot of stuff, and someone's like, don't do that, you know, hands-on, holding his pencil, writing, you know, things like that. So I learned a lot from them, and I'm grateful, and I want to pass that on to maybe a new mom out there that may have young children that are worried about, you know, maybe you can't afford a lot of curriculum or anything like that. Don't worry about it. Just find those free resources, those little cheap workbooks at the Dollar Tree or Dollar General, and then look up Easy Peasy homeschool curriculum. It's really awesome, and we still use it also to supplement. Number 3, and I know many of the other ones in this playlist have said this because it is so important, and I started not to say it, but I was like, yeah, I'm going to say it again, because we need to hear it. As moms, as women, as homeschool teachers, we need to hear it over and over and over. Do you know what I'm saying? You do. Do not compare yourself or your child or your homeschool to anyone else, because like some of the others said, It's just a recipe for disaster. No kid is the same. They should not be all put in a box. No mom is the same. No homeschool experience will be the same. Even if you have multiple children, one child is going to be different than the other, even though you teach them at the same table, same times. I mean, many of you that have multiple children, you probably be able to testify that that's true, but it's just so hard. And I've done that myself. I'm not saying I haven't. And it just makes you miserable. It brings you down. You know, God created us like we are. We are meant to be who we are, and we are good enough for our children. We are good enough to teach them. We are good enough for this homeschool. So don't compare yourself. Don't compare yourself. And don't compare your children. You know, if your child struggles with a certain subject like math, reading, or writing, don't compare them to Jimmy down the road or Sally next door, because every child is going to have strengths and every child are going to have weaknesses. Build on their strengths and work with them on their weaknesses. Don't compare, because it's not fair to them and it's not fair to you. So I won't harp on that a lot, because I know we're going to hear that a lot in the playlist. Number 4, don't be afraid to change curriculums. And some of the others may have said this too. Do not be afraid to change curriculums if it's not working for you or your child. And here is why I say that. There's a multitude of fantastic curriculum out there, guys. And when I first started, I was obsessed with it all. I couldn't make up my mind. I was overwhelmed. And I kept hearing people talk about how to read, teach your child how to read in a 100 easy lesson. Some of you may have tried it and it may have been successful for you. So I picked it up because Nathan was struggling with reading. He knew his letters. He could see them. He could do phonics, but it was just putting them together. So I got that book. Luckily, I could borrow it from another homeschool mother. And we stayed on it. And we started, and we'd done day after day. It would end up in tears, me in tears, and him in tears some days. He hated it, and I could not see him picking it up. He just wasn't. And I didn't want to change, because everybody told me, oh, this word, my child was reading on 3rd grade level in kindergarten. You know, and that's true probably for some children, but it did not work for us. And unfortunately, I learned the hard way that it made our days miserable. It did. Because I was afraid to say, this does not work for Nathan. This does not work for his learning style and for my teaching style. We need to move on. It took me probably 38 lessons, guys. 38 to 40 lessons. And some of them we covered several times before I had enough tears and I had seen him suffer. So we just put it aside and found a different way to teach him. And you know what? He picked it up like that in his own time, though. So don't be afraid, even if it's a popular curriculum, if some of your best buddies, your best homeschool moms, they rave about it, don't be afraid to know what works for you and your child. Everybody's different. So don't be afraid to change. Don't. Number 4. See this 4? I am a homeschool mom. I'm capable. Number 4. Don't forget that it is called homeschool for a reason. We need to be home and schooling. Now let me explain. And I'm going to talk from experience here, because this was a hard lesson, and it hurts me now to look back at it and see that it was my fault for some of Nathan's struggles, even some of his reading struggles. We sometimes as homeschool moms think that we have to get involved, and if you have a co-op in your area, which we do. When I first started homeschooling Nate in preschool, and I got into a co-op, and we have an amazing co-op and classes, and just a plethora of wisdom, you guys. Over 120 families, I think, if you combine all of them. And I thought Nate had to go to everything. I thought he needed to go to every field trip. He needed to be in every class, every party, every gathering. So I took him. And then, I was like, why isn't he picking up this reading? And one of the ladies, she was our president of the homeschooling co-op at the time. She said, a lot of times people forget that to educate your child at home, you need to stay home. So what that means is sometimes we get so busy letting our kids enjoy all their friends and getting them involved in all kinds of music or gymnastics or field trips or dance. And there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that, because my son takes music and goes to field trips and stuff. But don't get so involved that your schedule and your child's schedule fills up too much so that you can't school. You know, looking back now, and I tell new homeschool moms this when I mentor them in our group, it will hurt your child and it will hurt your homeschool experience if you don't dedicate a solid time during the day to stay home, set a schedule, and homeschool. Don't vary from it. Say, from this time to this time we homeschool every day, or 4 days a week like we do. We do Monday through Thursday, and you know, so many hours each day, and Nate's off on Friday. And then just pick the best activities that fit your schedule, and I'm not saying take your kids completely out, because they need, you know, to have fun and enjoy their friends, so totally do that. But just remember, you know, it's okay to let them get out and do fun things, but don't let it jeopardize their learning. Because I told you earlier, Nate had trouble with reading, and I can look back and honestly say I think it's because I kept him on the go so much that we didn't spend as much time, that extra time he needed studying the reading. So remember that. Now I need to move on, because my video is going to be like 40 minutes long if I don't. That's just really dear to my heart, because I went through that. I overloaded him and he suffered. But now, thank goodness, I learned that a couple of years ago, and since he's reading amazingly above grade level, so I'm super excited. Now, number 5 kind of goes with what I just talked about. Don't let family and friends intimidate you or pressure you or make you worry about socialization. Your child will get plenty of socialization interacting with his family, church family. You know, you take him to the store, he's going to interact with the public, his friends at co-op, you know, his neighbor friends, the kids in the neighborhood. He's going to get plenty of socialization, okay? He's going to, she's going to. And, you know, a lot of us get tied up trying to defend ourselves, but don't waste time doing that. Just pray about it and know that you are doing the right thing for your family right now, and don't let people feel like you're not. Your child's not tied up in a basement somewhere. Your child's not, you know, locked in a bubble. He or she's getting socialization. He's getting an education, and he's going to be fine. He's going to be fine. So don't let that bother you, because it's hard. It's hard to get past all that. Now we're going to move along, and I am going to tell you my top 5 do's before this video goes extra long. So my 5 do's for homeschooling, some of them will go with my don'ts as a counterpart. And number 1, I'm going to say, do remember, and this one does go with my number 1 don't, to give yourself and to give your child grace. Try to enjoy every learning experience, even those hard days that I told you about when I was talking about the don'ts. They are precious. They are so worth it, even the hard ones. So give yourself grace as you're learning. If you're new to homeschooling and you're having rough days, you don't think you're good enough, remember God's grace that He gives us, and offer the same to yourself. And your child, you know, he or she may not get it the first time, 4th time, 5th time, but they are worth the investment. So give yourself grace. Remember that we all take our own time to learn, and just enjoy the process as you do. So grace, that's my number 1. Do give yourself and your child grace. Number 2, do try and figure out your child's learning style and strengths. And that goes back with the the curriculum thing. Find out what works for you. Don't be afraid to switch. But do learn your child's learning strengths and how they like to learn, and cater to that and build on that. Don't forget to praise them and just build on each one of those. Find curriculums that if they're if they're technical, like hands-on, find curriculums that like building and things like that will cater to that style. So do learn your child's learning style and work with that, because it'll be so much easier on them and you in the long run. And remember, like I said, not every curriculum works for everybody. So that's why we need to learn our child's learning style so that we can cater to that. Number 3, do find a homeschooling schedule that works with you and stick with it. I mentioned that earlier when I said don't forget that homeschool is called homeschooling for a reason. You know, it doesn't have to be a rigid schedule. That is one of the great things about homeschooling. We can sleep in if we want to. We can get up early and get it done if we want to. But just find a schedule that works for your family and stick to it, because it is so helpful when you do that. And I find that Nate, my son, he runs better if we have a schedule. He knows we have to do it. These 4 days we do school. These 3 days he does not do school. And if we vary from that, it's a pain to get back to it. And we don't take all summer off, because we found a schedule that works for us. We school year round, and we go every 5 to 6 weeks, and then we take a week off. So find a schedule that works for your family and stick to it. Don't let anything interfere during those school days, and that way you can, you guys can get a lot done and enjoy it. Let's see. Number 4. What was that? Number 4 or number 3? Oh, I'm lost. You find schedule. Okay, 4. Do have fun. Just have fun with your child and cherish the years that you have him or her at home, because it goes just like that. I'm serious. It is so fast. It's going by so fast with Nathan, and he's my only one, so it's so sad. But just enjoy your time with your child, and remember that homeschooling is more than just books, curriculum, and education. It's a time to build your child's character, to build his or her faith, to teach them how to take care of themselves, life skills like chores, how to prepare for when they're out of the house, how to take care of themselves. It's about cherishing each moment that God gives us with them and watching them grow into the young man or woman that they want. So remember to cherish every moment of your homeschool, even the crazy wild days, because soon they'll be gone and you'll look back and say, I miss it. And number 5, and my last one, let's see. I'm sorry. This one's emotional for me too. Do know that you are enough. You're enough. You are enough to educate your child. You are enough to raise your child in the way that God wants you to. I mean, God gifted us these children. He trusts us to raise them into fine, outstanding men and women. So He trusted us with them. So trust yourself. Do remember that you are enough. No matter what anybody else may say, no matter what the devil may try and tell you, you are enough. Nobody else knows your child as well as you or your husband or spouse. Nobody else does. So know that God has entrusted you with these children, and you're doing the right thing by homeschooling. Even on those hard days, remember, this is just part of it. Even teachers at public school have hard days, and there are fantastic teachers at public school, but they struggle too. But even they have to remember sometimes that they are enough to teach those children. So remember, as a mom, as a woman, as a homeschooler, teacher, you are enough. You got this, mama. You got this. Your children will thank you for it. And let's see, a bonus, because it's only 5, right? Bonus. Do remember to wear PJs. I mean, right? What is the joys of homeschooling if you can't do at least a few days of it in your PJs? That's one of my favorite parts. So I'm really excited about PJ days when they come around, when we don't have to go anywhere. So do remember to throw a few of those in. All right, guys, thanks so much for joining me here for the 5 do's and don'ts of homeschooling. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please sure and give me a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if you haven't. Also, don't forget to check out that channel that I mentioned before, and don't forget to check the playlist below in the description for a lot more of these videos from great YouTubers on their top 5 do's and don'ts of homeschooling. So thank you guys, and I'll see you next time.